Street Jams, come get put on. Today I'm here with Randy Thurston again. Randy, how you doing today?
Derek, I'm doing great. Thank you.
Of course, yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation again. The first one was really good, really eye-opening. You have a lot of good point of views.
Well, there are different point of views, and what I think a lot of people really should be excited is to have as many different point of views to look at as possible, and it just widens their opportunities and choices. And the ones that just kind of get stuck in a rut and their immediate surroundings dictate their life are very limited. This is an exciting time. It's time to open the vision and soar like an eagle.
Yeah, I respect that. For people that aren't familiar with you, you were helping Heidi Ganahl run for governor this election term. You're a
Correct.
What would you say? Real estate mogul, real estate agent? I don't know.
Well, real estate's in my blood, so I tell people when they want to get into the career of real estate that it's not just kind of a hit and miss. You better dedicate your life, and I've been doing it for 45 years, and it truly is in your blood. And as time evolves, you really kind of get a picture of real estate agents versus real estate professionals versus consultants. And people really need, if you want to look at a future in real estate, to really be a consultant, a professional, somebody that can add value, not just an order taker, because those will get replaced in no matter what industry, IT, technology. You want to find a house, you go online. You want to make a loan, you go online. You do all that, but to get somebody in there to really connect and give you lots of options and ideas and what your future could be if you make the best real estate choices is really what the future of real estate is going to be as well. And as far as with Heidi and the politics, I don't like politics. I think I remember sharing that I don't like politicians. All politicians have a hidden agenda, and every once in a while I find a leader out there that's not going to be driven by the political parties or the special interest. And really, what ends up happening is they're very rare to find a leader because they don't have the political machine behind them. Political machines is what gets people elected. All you got to do is turn on the TV, and Jared Polis spent, I don't know, $14 million in marketing and advertising that was out on everybody's TV and their phones and the internet and everything. And Heidi was really pretty much a no-namer. But I am going to tell you this. She was phenomenal in the debates. People got that she has the heart for the people. And she ended up in Colorado with 978,000 votes.
Wow.
That is huge for a no-namer stepping in and taking on an incumbent. So she's my superhero. She's somebody that did it for the right reasons, and then she gracefully said, her time obviously wasn't now, but her heart for the people and her heart to be a leader and take us Colorado into a better place will be in the future.
Wow. How many votes did Polis get?
1.3.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he got over 300,000, 400,000 votes more. But again, he's been the existing governor. And again, he is our governor, and I respect the position of governor. I just want him now to take this next 4 years and realize what people were upset over. They don't want us to be a sanctuary state. Most people don't realize that we're a sanctuary state.
For like immigrants or?
A sanctuary state creates, and this is not the official definition, but I have to process things that I understand. A sanctuary state is where you encourage irresponsible and illegal people coming into your state from another area, and you reward bad behavior. Okay? Now, there's 6 sanctuary states around the country. Am I about freedom? Absolutely. Am I about equality? Absolutely. Am I about opportunity for people that want to reach higher levels? Absolutely. And I will do anything for anybody to do that. But right now we have this level of crime and new acceptable behavior that should not be acceptable. You know, if you do the crime 5 times, you're given bonds, and on the sixth time, then it gets serious. Car thefts. And the car thefts that are happening are to the people that can afford it the least, because if you steal a car up to $2,000, it's not a felony. So the cars that are being stolen in Colorado, which we are #1 in car thefts in the country, these are things that should be widespread in knowledge, but it's not, because the media is very much cherry picking what they share. And that really bothers me, Derek. And that's another reason I really like your venue and what you're doing, is because people can always have a choice of getting information if they connect through YouTube, the internet, different things like that. But to watch mainstream media is almost of no value. You know, it doesn't really get into the heart of what's going on. A lot of people feel unsafe. You know, a lot of people realize the level of shootings and drug, fentanyl and meth that's taking place, but it doesn't show up in the mainstream media like it used to. And it's very unfortunate, because just give us the truth. Don't make it better. Don't make it worse. Just tell us the truth and allow us as human beings to process and make choices based off of what the reality is.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. So, your kind of outlook is, to sum that all up, is kind of, and I already know you a little bit more than everyone else, but it's kind of like the changes within.
Has to be.
It has to be. See, I'm kind of. Did you read that comment on our last video? That like really lengthy comment.
Okay, tell me real quick.
You didn't catch a glimpse of it at all?
Again, just
It was just like, it was basically saying, I could probably just go to it. Let's see.
I love your technology. Look at this push button stuff and things pop up. I love it.
Oh yeah. If I had better eyesight, it's just kind of hard to see sometimes. Need a bigger screen. There we go. It's a book. Let's
Okay,
see.
go ahead and read it to me there. Because your eyesight, believe it or not, is better than mine. So.
Okay. And shout out Ash Stone King for taking the time out of her day to comment, watch the whole thing, comment her opinion. You know, it's her opinion. So it says, I think I should hit the bong before I get vicious with my comment about this interview. You know, since the addiction rules my life and all. It is clear this man did not receive a college education or venture beyond the fence of Pueblo to expand his own ability to think about the world outside the 150,000 people he advocates for. Does Randy take the time to shine the headlights on alcohol addiction or the normalization of it in the culture, especially among his age group and demographic, or what's it like to experience poverty, to not even qualify for all these programs that exist and actually be starving, to have an addiction yet still manage to be a functioning member of society until you're held accountable for your bad behavior and lose what little you have and see no other reason to give into the addiction when you're homeless, hungry, and exposed to the real world and the consequences you brought upon yourself by not watering the grass within. Does that kind of make sense?
It does, absolutely, and I respect her viewpoint here. So I think what really exists, and this is an issue for people that haven't suffered levels that most people suffer, because we can all sit there and solve the problems and say, well, just do this and just do that. Back in 1999, I was given the Businessman of the Year award, a national award in Chicago. And part of that, there was like 1,500 kids from FBLA, and it was a big thing. And they asked me to put on a course, and I put the Science of Success and stuff. And what she's saying is so absolutely true. Because I got up there and I was talking about how easy it is if you just do these certain things for life to get better. And this lady came up to me, afterwards, and she said, "Mr. Thurston, I appreciated it, and I love what you had to say, but you don't understand. You don't live in my world, and there's nothing that you're going to say in my world that's going to have any meaning because you're on top of the mountain." And because of that comment, now, Derek, this was powerful. Every day I want to learn as much as I can. And we only know what we know until you want to increase your awareness and the willingness to listen and put yourself in other people's shoes. Well, you can't do that. So I realized that my life was pretty blessed and everything was going great and everything. And I don't want to say I purposely sabotaged my life, but I didn't avoid the pitfalls that I could have avoided. And I became more open, and some mistakes that I made and the feelings that happened and the different things, it knocked the air out of me. It knocked me down about 10 notches. And all of a sudden, I started seeing things differently. Now, can I relate to everybody? No. Is it something I understand that relating to people is something that when you're having any conversation and they feel differently because of their life situations, there's nothing you can do other than just share the possibilities. And I don't care what life situations people have. If you start looking for the outside to fix you, won't get fixed. If you start looking at inside the uniqueness and the differences that people are, and find your special gift, find that internal strength, and to be brutally honest, some of the most successful, impactful people in the world had the most crappiest life you can imagine.
For sure, yeah. I think that's true.
But you don't hear that part of history. You just see them in their shining moment of what they've done. And if you really peel back the onion and still really get deep down, you realize that if they would have had everything that they wanted, or the visual that here they are on top of the mountain and everything worked well, they could never have achieved and accomplished the in-depthness that it takes to pull strength that you never thought that existed. And that pulling the strength means it doesn't matter how deep of a hole you're in. It means finding your special gift, being your own superhero. And what's kind of interesting about that, Derek, is right now the superhero thing is a big thing. It really is. I mean, I love watching the Black Panther. I mean, I watch these things and it kind of takes you, or the old Superman. I know this is way, I mean, heck, I was a young kid when Superman, I watched it when they made it. It wasn't the reruns. And man, you sit there and it's like, oh, wow, would it be cool to be able to fly or jump tall buildings with a single bound or run faster than a train? I mean, all of those things, it put us in an imagination of what was possible. And obviously it's not possible. But we all, believe it or not, being different, have unique possibilities of being our own superhero. And once we start thinking about that instead of being a special victim, I'm a special superhero, not a special victim. And I don't care how crappy life has been, there is never a time to put up the white flag and said, I'm done. There's nothing I can do to have anything other than this deep hole that I'm stuck in that I can't get out. Now, can I relate to all the deep holes that are out there? No.
Yeah, it's impossible. I mean, the circumstances you can't even imagine. Probably there's some people are, as with myself too, not just to put it singularly on you, but I think that comment was kind of, she was stabbing in the right direction, but her point was kind of missed because, as relating to politicians, it's their job to try to relate to everyone. They have to try to understand, and I feel like you only get that level of emotional intelligence with more conversations you have with maybe the less fortunate or the more fortunate, and kind of meet in the middle. And I kind of agree with what you're saying. I do agree with what you're saying.
Well, but I can also see her frustration because, again, wherever she is in life, she doesn't realize that she has a gift of being a superhero. a special superhero, because that's not the way our society works. Our society works in all of the media around us. Everything we hear, everybody we talk to has labels and expectations and judgments and all of this. All that needs to go out the window. If you're going to be truly a superhero, what makes you a superhero is the fact that you are unique. The fact that there's nobody out in the entire world like you, including your life circumstances. And the tougher the life circumstances that you've gone through, the more of a superhero you can be when you find inside of you stuff that only you can find when you look for it. You can't let other people help you find it, because they're going to crap all over you. They're going to want you to be stuck. They're going to want you to not have confidence. They want to have power over you, or whatever the story is. And that's not everybody, but there's people around you that love it that you've given up, because then you become nothing more than an empty opportunity for them to say jump, and you jump. I'm sorry. It's if people would just look a little differently on it. So I'm going to ask you, Derek. You're a unique individual, and I have a great respect for you, because I see in your heart you want your fingerprints of the world to have the voice that you carry of people that matter, and you're committed to it. This isn't kind of like, oh geez, today what should I do? I mean, you go to bed thinking about it, you wake up thinking about it. Every chance you get to interview somebody that is a rare coin or unique, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't matter. It's unique and it's different, that your listeners can connect with is powerful. And I commend you for that.
Thank you.
So you have super power, superhero stuff there. But if you were to look inside and say, I want to be a superhero and this is what I can offer the world, what would that look like, Derek?
I think, you asked me this before we started, and I was thinking about it. I think I would want to. Obviously, I want to give people the voice and the power to just speak their truth and amplify it to as loud as I can. But I personally enjoy just helping people. Like, I really, like, if I just help. I like to help like a single person on the side of the road. It doesn't, no one else sees it, but it makes their day, and it makes my day. So I think my superpower would be, I guess, it's not really a superpower. I guess more financial freedom, so that I could bless other people's lives with finances, because that's a huge struggle in everybody's lives. Is, I don't know if I have enough money for next week, so I got to go to work today and tomorrow, and I'm kind of giving up 50% of my entire life to someone else.
Well, I like what you're saying, and I'm going to just kind of give a tweak on the money, because you and I have talked about this before, and that's alchemy. And everybody who's listening right now could incorporate a superpower far beyond the richest person in the world. And as everyone's listening, it's like, well, no, you can't compete with money. So when we talked before, we talked about alchemists, they can take lead and turn into gold. And when I speak in front of a group of people and I put that out there, everybody goes nuts. I mean, what a superpower to turn lead into gold. Oh my God, what would my life look like? All of a sudden, everything that I want is mine. Well, be careful what you ask for, because that's not the true superpower. But everybody who's listening, everybody that ever had any problem that involved not having money, has something, and that is, what if you were able to take a lead thought and turn it into a gold thought? It's far more powerful than having gold, to have the ability to find the gold nugget in anything. And the more you become a superpower in it, the more you're able to find gold nuggets in everything. I mean, to be honest with you, with my life, I've had a lot of great blessings, and I've worked hard, and I've achieved a lot. My gold nuggets didn't come with that. It came with the struggles and the falling on my face and disappointments and frustrations and not being able to trust people I thought I could trust. All of these things to where I had to find a deeper part of me inside that didn't depend on other people. So just think, everybody who's ever been hurt, who's ever been let down, who's ever been taken advantage of, that's a gold nugget. Now, what can you find within yourself that you can create within you without having to depend on the approval or the support or anything from anybody else to create a life that is special to you? And money doesn't fix that. I mean, look at some of the wealthiest people in the world.
Yeah, I think there's different ways people probably come across money. I would assume when you have lived an adult life, pretty average means, and you start to build up for some money, I'm sure you're less likely to blow it all, rather than inheriting $10 million. So I think, to argue back that point, it's not about the money, it's about the opportunities I know I would hope I could give to people with more financial freedom, just to give them financial freedom and freedom in their day-to-day life, where you don't have to worry about, man, I gotta go to work an 8-hour shift, I can't follow my dreams.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you've got something that people with lots of money don't have, and that's a voice and respect and a heart that cares, that isn't about taking advantage of people, but really giving people the awareness for finding their own strength. I mean, Derek, I see your voice in such a powerful way. I'd put you against the guy that's got $10 million, and you're going to have a far greater, more powerful impact on people in the world than he does. And I know that's hard to grasp, but I've seen some of the wealthiest people. I've dealt with some of the wealthiest people. I've been involved in some of the greatest challenges that you can ever imagine out there. And it's not the guy with the money that has the answer. It's the guy that has the heart for the people and has the voice and has the ability to create an awareness. There was something that I saw on Facebook. In fact, I hit a like on it and shared it. And I'm trying to think, it has something to do with intelligence, knowledge, intelligence, information is not free. And then right below it says you have to pay attention. Now, paying attention, how can you pay attention when you're stressed and feeling like a victim and feeling like life, throw the white flag up, I quit, I give up, I have no chance. Man, that's when the real power is, because you've reached a point, you have nothing but blue sky ahead of you.
Yeah.
Above you. Wow. Take that opportunity and YouTube and connect with people like yourself, Derek, and everything, and find where's that special superpower that I have. And I don't care what anybody says about me. Their opinion of me does not matter. They don't own me. I have the ability to have the life, and my heart is good. I'm on the side of right. I'm on the side of making a positive difference, and I have the tenacity and strength. Nobody's going to slow me down. So, and I didn't mean to take away from your conversation with your superpower, but you have something so special that you are not thinking about it. You're putting it into play. You are a superhero.
Yeah, I see your point of the power of the voice. But I guess with the power of the voice, I know it could be way more amplified. If I was to just quit my job, throw away everything, and be like, I'm going to do this 24 hours a day. I'm going to have 3 people in here a day. I know I could really step it up, like if I had the opportunity, but I have obligations and responsibilities, And I think that's kind of my point, is
you could do more with your voice.
Yeah, the power to lift off those burdens off people's shoulders and give them just like a sigh of relief, be like, you are free for a year to follow your dreams and see where you go.
Yeah,
I think that's a really good feeling. I like that.
Well, and that's something that grows, and the fact that now is kind of picking the influence, areas of influence instead of everything. And I was in Denver yesterday, and I was invited to this group that actually had DEA, FBI, state legislators, city council people from up north, and they're dealing with serious problems. And one of them is the water. The water for Colorado, people don't realize how we're at a critical level. This isn't about today you can turn your faucet on and you have no fear about water, to the point that in the next 5 to 10 years, the whole country is going to be pulling, and they look at Colorado as the headwaters because Colorado has no water coming into it. Everything is generated with snowpack. And the levels of snowpack now have dwindled. Now you get plenty of rain, but it doesn't give you the deep aquifers and the big reservoirs to sustain water, not just for Colorado, but the responsibilities we have with all these other states. So I'm taking that on. I want to fight to make sure that we protect the water here in Colorado. The other big issue that existed was the fentanyl. And they had a guy that is out there talking to lots of people, and he had two sons. One was 19 years old and the other was 21. And you may know it because I think there's a Netflix or a YouTube.
What's their names? Their last name?
You know,
I don't know. That's okay.
But they're doing a movie about it. But his boys experimented on something that should not have killed him. But they didn't realize that what they did was laced with fentanyl.
Marijuana for the people, right?
So you know the story.
No, you told me it last night on the phone.
Okay,
They smoked marijuana for the first time ever, and it was laced with fentanyl.
It was laced with fentanyl.
That's crazy.
And they both died. And he's a parent that is heartbroken. What could I have done? What could I have shared? Where people don't realize that when you do marijuana, there's nothing wrong with marijuana, but who's preparing the marijuana? What's it being laced with? And what the DEA officer said is that fentanyl can be added to every drug out there.
Oh, yeah.
Even prescription drugs. I mean, there is nothing out there. And he said a lot of this stuff is created in China, and the chemists, they're all different human beings, and one grain of salt was the difference of living and dying. That's the power of fentanyl. If somebody puts a little bit more in than a normal dose, and you just don't know. So every time it's almost like a Russian roulette. You as long as it's being laced, there's a big risk. And then the DEA officer was sharing that what makes fentanyl so bad, and he says you see homeless and you see people with mental illness. Did they expose themselves to something that had fentanyl in it? Because fentanyl doesn't leave your brain once it's in. Once it's in your system, it doesn't flush out because it's a syndicated chemical. It stays in your system. And it has a lot of long-term negative impact on people's thought processes and their ability, which is one of the reasons it's so addictive. Because once it's in there, the craving for fentanyl or the effect of what fentanyl would give you is so high. So having said that, it's just an awareness. And their voice that they're trying to have is not trying to keep people from making whatever choices they want, but realize that there's a lot of landmines out there with people that don't care, that getting people addicted to things is to their advantage and to everybody else's disadvantage.
That marijuana store, man, as I'm rolling up right now, I couldn't even fathom, like, where do you get fentanyl laced marijuana? Like, they weren't of age to buy from the store. It sounds like they were 20, right?
19 and 21.
Oh, 19, 21. See, so he could have went to the store and bought it legally.
Uh-huh.
And that's guaranteed to have, passed at least 1 to 2 state tests. So.
Well, there's a couple other people that have died. One was a 12-year-old girl that had a headache at school, and a friend of her gave her something to relieve the headache. And it was laced with fentanyl, and she immediately died. And this was here in Pueblo.
Jeez. What school?
That I don't know.
Wow.
I was talking to a relative of him, but we don't know unless we have that experience of somebody sharing a story about what's going on. And it's just something that everybody needs to be very cautious and not just assume that whatever it appears to be may be, because the people that are pushing the fentanyl, it's very addictive, and that's one of the reasons it gets added to other drugs. Because once what he was sharing is that fentanyl used to cost more, and now the cost of it is so much less. I mean, when it's being manufactured, it works out to about 40 cents. Okay, they can sell that on certain areas of high demand for anywhere from $60 to $100.
Wow.
Now, do you think the people that are all about the money can get excited about that kind of profit level?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but the people that are excited about it, wouldn't they be the same people that kind of were related to like the opioid crisis, this like last decade?
Well, the opioid crisis was prescription drugs, and people that got hooked on it then went to heroin. And we're talking normal. I mean, when I say people that aren't into drugs, but they have severe pain. Mm-hmm. The addiction was, and then they all of a sudden pulled all of the opioids out, and then they went to heroin, and then heroin is actually created with poppy seeds. The fentanyl gives you a much better effect on everything, and it's 100% synthetic. There is no plant, there is nothing natural. It's all chemical, and they can manipulate the things, and that's why it doesn't leave your system. Once it's in, the addiction becomes crazy. But once you're addicted, what do you do?
But isn't fentanyl like available at hospitals?
It is. And how they say with fentanyl is if you have a doctor and it's closely scrutinized of how much you're getting, it has a great benefit. But when it gets to the next level, and trust me, I'm no chemist and I'm no doctor and I'm no nothing, but I do get that fentanyl is the highest level now at a critical level across the country, probably the world. And it's something that is growing like wildfire. And I don't have the ability to stop it, but the awareness is for people to be aware of, make sure you know what you're doing and what you're taking, and don't just trust because something's there that is clean. Mm-hmm. And so, and again, and it's not a world that I really can offer any expertise other than just increase your awareness, be careful, and realize that the level of deaths that are taking place is not out there for the general public to be aware of. They were talking about on an annual basis 250, 300,000 people, the size of three people filling the Denver Bronco stadium 3 or 4 times is what happens here in Colorado on a yearly basis.
All from fentanyl?
From fentanyl.
Oh, wow.
I mean, but we don't know that. And I wouldn't have known it if I wouldn't have been up there getting it straight from the horse's mouth. Now, everybody can dispute saying, well, it's exaggerated, it's under-exaggerated, whatever. Well, it's severe enough that people should have an awareness level. People should not just blindly do and take and go to places and not have an awareness that what if something was there that I didn't think was there that could have some serious consequences to me. Mm. And I didn't want to get into the drug conversation, but I did want to get into that there's voices that of people that have been impacted that the general media isn't talking to them. It doesn't fit into their thing. Where conversations like this, it's a great ground for people to increase their awareness level, Derek.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually supposed to be making a video for the city of Pueblo, kind of like showing the homeless problem and kind of how it ties in with drug addiction and crime. I got asked to do that by Brian from Big Bear, the owner of Big Bear.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I'm going to hopefully be meeting with Mayor Gradishaw and trying to, I don't really know exactly, but I would be interested to have you speak on it, maybe have a small interview.
Oh, and that's perfect because I am aware of Fountain Creek. I am aware of what is happening behind the sight of people in Pueblo. It's how can I say this? There's so many people that I would love to give a hand up to that have bad times and with the homeless situation. But what has happened, there's been a whole new surge of people coming in that like being under the radar screen, and Fountain Creek is a perfect place that they can do the bringing in of the fentanyl, the bringing in of the meth, the bringing in of these things, and nobody is questioning them. It's outside that scope. And the people that truly have been there that are homeless and don't want to participate in that direction, they're kind of stuck. What do they do? Where do they go? And that's not just here in Pueblo. It's on a national level. So we really need to, if we want to protect the homeless, realize that a lot of them are victimized with all of the criminal element that's going along in under the radar screen in the homeless camps. That isn't something that the general public's aware of.
So you're saying the homeless are holding down the homeless?
There's true homeless, and then there's a criminal element that is almost taking advantage of the homeless.
Trying to get them hooked on drugs because they're in a vulnerable position,
or they can have them bring money. They can be panhandling and then bring the money, and to be in the camp, they've got to
pay them.
They got to pay them.
The rent or whatever it's called.
Whatever it is, and it's something that we need to have leadership in a town. We need to have people aware. We need to have an ID people that are here to see if they have severe criminal records, that they got kicked out of another state for whatever massive crimes are taking place. That will eliminate that criminal element from wanting to be part of this community. But again, Mayor Gradazar is aware of what he could do, and his willingness or non-willingness is going to play out, I think, for this next election, because there's going to be people showing up for mayor that want to protect the citizens of Pueblo, want to protect the true homeless, want to find true solutions on different things, want to make sure that kids aren't getting addicted at the stuff that is going to totally destroy and ruin their lives, creating consequences to make sure that people are, there's a cost if you're going to lay something with fentanyl that could kill somebody. There's going to be should be a consequence.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. That's just kind of hard to put your finger on who made this. You'll never know.
And that's what the guy said. He said this stuff is being made by in a batch, in a barrel, in a foreign country, and who knows when they're throwing stuff in and they're making the pills or whatever, what formula. He says, I guarantee they're all different. There is not a set. So you can't sit there and say this has this much. There is no way. So it's a gamble itself, just where it gets originated, and then once it gets in the hands of wherever it goes from there, and then from there, that one batch of how it was created then can be deadly, and nobody would know until it's too late.
All right, getting back on what we're talking
Superheroes.
about. Yeah, what's your superpower?
My superpower is increasing awareness. I'm a magnet now for increasing awareness. When you realize that, again, and she's right. I didn't go to college, but not going to college doesn't mean that you don't have intelligence. What gives you intelligence is this motivation to seek beyond easy answers. Seek beyond fear. Seek beyond the expert that's not challenged, that might have a hidden agenda. Seek 20 different avenues. And like I shared last time that I got from my dad is when you cross the street, look both ways. How many people don't look both ways before they cross the street? They hear one thing and they latch onto it, and that is 100% the direction they're going. And you need to look at alternatives and choices and look at best case, worst case, and the risks that are involved and the rewards that are involved. I mean, there's so much stuff that anybody can start doing immediately, but only when you increase awareness. And you do that by asking powerful questions and being open. The guy that thinks he knows everything knows nothing.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I agree with that.
And how many people do you know that know everything and they're not open to listening or thinking, well, what if I'm not right? Or what if what this person just said had some value, maybe not the whole thing, but something worth looking at. What can I do to further research it? And, history books are kind of interesting. History is written by the writer of history.
The winner.
Whoever writes down the history, that's the history. But what if it wasn't accurate? What if we look at today, things happen, and who writes it has a whole different direction than what really happened? In the future, you'll never know. You'll just go by what was written, what was said. Who has the ability to control what gets written? Well, the nice thing is there's so many different things written that it's not like there's one authority or one thing that has more accuracy than somebody else. So use that as a superpower that you want to seek multiple options and insights and see where it takes you. But all along, don't let fear and ego drive anything, but live in a life that you are your own greatest advocate, and for you to have a life of fulfillment and satisfaction isn't about how rich you are, but it's how rich of the internalness that you have, that you can be a bright light for the world.
Yeah, I'm not saying my superpower would be super rich. I just know that the quickest way to help people is
Be super rich.
be like, hey, if you're going through what's that? There's a level of like worry. I forget what it's called, but like you can't worry about the next level until you have your worries like for the first level figured out. The first level is like hunger, sleep, and I don't know the other one. And then like the second level is like my family, my mental health, and the third level is like financial freedom. So you can't reach the top until you kind of assess like, am I getting all my basic needs met? You can't strive for more until you're striving for the basic.
And I remember that hierarchy of steps. Now I'm gonna give something I've never shared before in any speaking engagement or out there to the public.
Okay.
And I recently met a guy that speaks 5 languages.
Wow.
Now, speaking 5 languages, what opportunities and knowledge does he have that most people would never have?
Are you asking me or?
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume he probably travels. He probably is just smarter. The more languages you learn, probably the more higher IQ you are. So that probably takes him places. I don't know exactly.
Yeah. So I looked at it. You know how many languages I speak?
2.
1.
1.
And I don't speak it well. I remember I always drove my English teachers crazy in school because I didn't care about English. But so his 5 languages give a broad base that he can go anywhere around the world and he can communicate. He can find opportunity. I mean, his scope with 5 languages is huge.
Oh yeah.
But here's the secret. Here's the superpower. Here's those that are listening that really want to take their existence to a higher level without fear and ego or outside influences having any value. What if you took the 1 language or the 2 languages you have and you went this way instead of this way?
Like mastering your languages rather than
Mastering beyond the language, but understanding the dynamics of language. So when I say increase your awareness level, how many times do you hear that in general conversation?
almost never.
Never. Guess what? That's the bridge from level 1 to level 2. So now, as you're talking about your hierarchy, it's not about the food chain or all of the basic needs. When you go up this level, this ladder, in things that I work with on the grass is greener on the inside, all of a sudden, the world becomes different. First thing, you lose your ability or your limitations on judging other people or being judged. How many people are influenced because they judge other people, or they're influenced because of being judged by other people?
I mean, that probably dictates everyone's real life, day to day life. Probably 90% of the world.
Yeah. And so you're stuck on level one because in level one, judgment and all that. In level two, you know what the carpet is in level two? Acceptance. What if you accepted everybody around you and accepted yourself? Just accept. So now all your energy into trying to create all of this stuff, now you're able to move up the ladder. Now, it's pretty simple, but that's not the world we live in. The world with the power of fear and ego is about people not being satisfied with themselves and feeling that they have to pass the test that somebody else is creating for them to be able to have a quality of life. So with acceptance, I don't judge people. I don't, and trust me, I could, and I am criticized. I can have the worst criticisms in the world, and I just thank them for their opinion. It's okay. I don't lose any energy. I don't spend any energy. If I'm attacked in the newspaper or something, I embrace that because it gives me a platform now to share something that would never have been heard before without the attack. So there's benefits of something that people have tremendous fear over. But seriously, think about judgment and acceptance. Just in that one bit, Derek, how much more energy you have into having your voice reach the world. Does that make sense?
It definitely does make sense. You know, I think with age comes wisdom like that. You know, when you're 20 years old, you're kind of like, oh man, do I have cool shoes? Do I have like, you know, a good girlfriend? Do all my friends like, you know? So I think it's good to hear that from someone that's lived it, because I can't speak on something I haven't been through. So, but I see your point, and I'm consciously trying to turn my life towards living like that.
Well, that's superhero. That's you deciding you're the superhero, and you as a superhero don't have judgment, and you have acceptance. You ask powerful questions to increase your awareness level. Pretty simple, basic stuff, and it doesn't cost anything. You have the ability for alchemy, turning a lead thought into a gold thought. I mean, what in any of this do you hear mainstream? Do you have TV ads that come out and say, take a lead thought and turn it into a gold thought? No, there's no money in it for them. Right. Everything that they're promoting, they're wanting you to doubt yourself and not have the ability to be happy unless you spend $200 for a pair of tennis shoes that now you walk around like you're cool. Well, I'm sorry, you're cool. You don't need the tennis shoes to be cool, but you're not cool when you're worried about what people think about you. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. That's a hard thing for people to get over. I mean, it's, if you're looked at kind of unfavorably, you know, that tends to like depression, maybe even like suicide. People want to be accepted. That's just human nature.
Well, but it's human nature that's nurtured by fear and ego. Would you agree with that?
Definitely. Yeah, because if you're not accepted, you're shunned from, when we were back in the tribes or whatever, if you weren't accepted by the tribe, you were out of the tribe and you probably died.
Yeah.
So I think that's why.
Well, and it's something that's real when fear and ego drive your life. But that's why it's so important to have, you know, the grass is greener on the inside. It's so important to take your levels straight up from level 1 to level 2 and start making these simple things. And none of this stuff costs any money. And that's why you don't see it out there. I mean, Nike doesn't say, you know, no judgment, accept everybody. They want people to think if you wear Nike, that's the key for your happiness. And I guarantee anybody wearing Nikes, that's not the key to happiness. In fact, it's a key of feeling in a hidden prison that you're looking around hoping that somebody notices what you're wearing or what you're doing so you feel okay. Get rid of that. Like, go a whole different direction. And I'm not trying to degrade, because most people are, heck, my whole life, my mom, I loved her dearly. But I'd come home from school and, she said, so what did your friends say? What did the teacher say? It was all about them. And I was thinking to myself, I don't know. So then I started becoming more aware. What did my teacher say? Did I do good today? Did the friends like the clothes that my mom bought for me? Did the lunch that she packed, that she made really special, did they all say, wow, you got a cool lunch? And she wasn't doing it in a way of being negative or trying to control. It was just how she was raised and they were raised. And then it's just something that gets passed on. So when do we get the opportunity of changing is when we become a superhero. And the best thing of being a superhero is being different. I don't want to be a copycat. Guess what they want? They want everybody to be copycats. I don't know, purses. I know that women go crazy. They have to have the right purse, and the same purse that everybody else that can afford an expensive purse wants. Shoot me. You know what I'm saying? Like, show me the value of being a copycat.
Definitely.
This needs to be a movement out there where people wake up in the morning excited that they're different. And the less accepted you are in being a copycat, the more free you are to have the most incredible life you could ever have. And you can inspire others to equally do it. And you don't have any fear of bringing other people up, because it's not about control and power. It's about making an influence of creating a world of a tipping point now that people matter. People matter. Not the control of people.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not saying anything I disagree with. I wish this was on more public platforms. What if you could buy like a new personality? You're like, oh, I'm going to spend $100 and I'm just going to have better emotional intelligence, or I'm going to... Could you imagine?
Yeah.
That's...
And you can't.
Exactly.
You can't buy it, but it's free. It's
I know,
just
but
that
that's why people don't want to work on it. It's free, so it's like, being in shape, you could work out for free. I mean, there's a lot of Americans that are not in shape. So, like, I think it being free just makes it like, oh, I'll work on it tomorrow. Like, I don't know. In my head, at least.
Well, what's interesting about working out and everything, because as a superhero, the first thing you have to do is look in the mirror. And you have to look at what you want to do in your life to be the best version of yourself for you. Not what anybody else thinks, the best version of you. So I don't have alcohol issues, don't have drug issues, don't have anything like that. But I have food issues. And the more busy I get doing things, the less I become aware of that. I become a garbage pan or garbage disposal. I just throw food in as I'm rushing around doing all of this. Well, as a superhero, that's a dark side of me. It's okay to say, okay, Randy.
Well, what are you eating, though? Are you eating like a McDonald's sandwich or like a salad?
Well, I mean, if I eat clean, I'm eating a salad. And if you eat enough salads, you crave salads. But with especially working on the election things and everything, I've been traveling quite a bit. I'll stop and eat fast food. All of a sudden, I start feeling different. The body now is in control, and the craving of sugar is more than cocaine. The craving of sugar, when you get where your inside is used to having sugar, it ain't going to make you happy until you're putting more sugar in.
Oh, wow.
And again, no problem. If you're a superhero, you say, okay, so for the next 3 weeks, 100% clean. Everything I eat is 100% clean. Now, people are going to say, yeah, but that, you don't understand. I have cravings, or I try to do that and I end up doing this. Been there, done that, but now I have a single focus of taking that on, and I know in 3 weeks, if I can be strong enough and committed enough to truly have that, the sugar cravings will go away.
Yeah.
And then I can eat clean and be happy and move through life, and my life will be how can I say this, healthier. I won't need to go to the doctors. I won't need to have prescription drugs. I won't have to have a list a mile long of ailments that I have.
And in turn healthier, and in turn happier.
That's it.
You know, because happiness is a byproduct of health, I think.
If you had all the money in the world and you were deathly sick, what do you have?
Exactly, you have nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. But we don't connect those dots. A superhero will say, health needs to be the highest priority. And then what am I doing that I'm letting any kind of addiction, whether it's food or alcohol or drugs or whatever, drive my ability to have a happy life in the future, because I'm on the pathway of unhappiness because of my health is going to continue to go downhill. I don't care if you're 300 or 400 pounds. I mean, I lost over 100 pounds.
Well, you don't look, you look regular. You look like a regular sized American.
But you didn't see me before.
Ah.
I was almost 270 pounds. You know, and
We're pretty tall. You're like 6 foot,
5'11".
5'11.
Yeah.
That's pretty tall.
And so it wasn't bad, but I got down to 170. Now, again, saying that, there was no, I was a true superhero and disciplined to the highest level. My health level went straight to the highest level of health you can get. I didn't have heart issues, breathing issues. The COVID didn't impact me. I mean, all of that, when you look at COVID and where it has its highest level of devastation, is with people with a low immune system. And guess who has a low immune system? If you feed your body full of alcohol and food and all of this stuff that takes away your body from operating in a clean situation, then people say, well, but that's boring. Well, I think it's pretty boring to be stuck and not being able to go anywhere because you're so sick.
Definitely.
You know, so there's always choices, but you can also find ways when you start looking internally of a life that, as a superhero, that you can make pretty awesome, but it's not based off of anybody else's expectations, but what you want to create for you.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of sums up the grass is greener.
The grass is greener on the inside.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the other side, not the outside,
Yeah,
but the inside.
I like that.
Well, I'd love for you to help me more on the grass is greener on the inside, because it's something that I think the timing is right now to really get it out to more. But I think your listeners need to give you some feedback, because everybody looks at things differently. And if this has something that people see of value, then it's valuable. If it's like the fancy shoes of the day, there's no value in that. So it's going to be interesting to see the feedback that you get, Derek.
Yeah, and I would love to help you with that. Whenever you want to get it rolling, I'm 100% in it with you.
Well, let's look after the first of the year.
Exactly.
Can you believe it? It's December?
I honestly am having a hard time. Time just seems like it's just going faster and faster, but it's a good time. So this was a great year for me.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, every year is just going to keep getting greater and greater because you truly are a superhero.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Randy. I loved having you here, as always. It's always a great time.
Great. Thank you. I always appreciate it, Derek.
We got to do it. We got to just do these maybe like every now and then.
Oh, I love it.
It's a good topic. Maybe we'll bring in some people so they could have an input and bring in, I don't know, just like people that don't really think, who I don't think this way, that could really use it.
I think that's great. I love that idea, is bring in people that really don't think this is feasible or workable. I mean, when I put on speaking engagements, I love it when people stand up and say, that's great, but it's not for me. You don't understand. And the first thing I say is, you're right, I don't understand. But what do you understand about your responsibility for your life? Do you want to just drink Kool-Aid and follow the path of what people tell you that you should be living your life? Or do you want to have a life that belongs to you? And that normally gets the thought process to where it's not as simple as they thought it was stepping in.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to make that happen, whether it's on your platform, my platform.
Or both.
Yeah, exactly. Or both.
Sounds good.
All right, Randy. What is Do you have any ads that they could find you at other than your YouTube? The grass is greener on the inside.
I would just go to the Grass is Greener on the Inside, which is a YouTube station. Just type it in and it'll pop up. And like I said, I've been remiss in putting new shows on just because with the election things. And after the first of the year, we'll get more of consistency with it.
For sure.
But I also like to get feedback of what people would like to hear about the Grass is Greener on the Inside, how that might apply in their life and whatever their challenges are. I would love to hear it.
Definitely. Yeah. I can't wait to be on it. Thank you for coming on here again. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. It's been Street Champs. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all that. All right.